Bartholomew Town is brought to you in part by the University of Rhode Island Online, Navigant Credit Union, the Audubon Society of Rhode Island, Newport Film, and Half Street Group.
Bartholomew Town.
With everything that's been happening, I've been asking myself a question that I want to ask you guys, and then I'll certainly tell you what I've been meditating on here. And it's something that we hear about more and more. It's not a new concept, right? But it's something that in recent times has become almost I'm afraid to say, a talking point. And in some ways has almost become a caricature of itself. Not entirely, but I think in large part. And when you see what took place this week, where you've got Donald Trump inside the Oval Office at the Resolute desk looking up at Elon Musk, he's wearing the black MAGA hat. He's got the costume on, his new costume. He's standing there, and they're offering some kind of justification for what this audit is or whatever it is they're doing with the federal government, which is in fact just another pivot point in this shift towards really away from democratic republic capitalism towards neo-fascist oligarchy. And that's exactly what it is, by the way. People want to push back on that. Let's get into a debate. I'm happy to do it. Bill@ripodcast.com. But that's what I see. And I think that's more than anything what I feel. Don't you feel that? Don't you sense what's happening? But the question that I've been pondering as we see these images and we start to understand the direction that Trump 2.0 is taking and the world around Trump 2.0, inclusive of the coalition that was built by design to get Trump elected again, that is now, no doubt about it, going to bear the brunt of the policies and the direction that this administration is taking. We keep hearing and asking ourselves this very basic question, or maybe it's not even a question, maybe it's a statement. But I'll pose it as a question to you. What does it really mean to localize everything right now? All right, so you've got Elon Musk in there in the Oval Office. He's got his kid in there, which, by the way, where are all the people that were screaming and yelling for years on end about former Providence Mayor Alorza having Omar, his kid, on site at some press events? Those people, they've disappeared. I haven't heard anything about that from MAGA country, around here anyway. I mean, the hypocrisy, you can look at any issue and you find it everywhere, right? But what does it actually mean to localize this moment? Now, there have been some reasonably large protests that have taken place. There's definitely a lot of on-the-ground action taking place in the nonprofit and advocacy spaces. We definitely see bolstering of support. I'll give you an example. East Providence Mayor Bob DeSilva reaffirming the city's commitment to DEI, okay? But then at the same time, you've got out in Johnston, Policina and his operation, they're putting up Columbus statues and blockading affordable housing. They're stuck in 1956. So it contrasts on different levels on the municipal level, right? In terms of a direction, in terms of an attitude, in terms of a flavor. On a statewide basis, you've got Attorney General Noronha, one of the major players on a national level, in court challenges to the variety of executive orders issued by Trump. Governor McKee obviously petrified about the notion that bridge funding isn't going to come through, taking what I guess you would call a more sober approach to his resistance while affirming a commitment to protecting our most vulnerable and protecting our ideals here, and certainly introducing this week significant, as promised, significant, will end up, he wants to put in the budget, legislation and concepts around gun control. What does it really mean to localize the moment? Because you can have all the protests in the world going around Providence or going around Newport or Westerly or whatever community, and we can have actions that are taking place on a municipal level, And we could have actions that are taking place on a statewide basis from a legislative standpoint, from an executive standpoint, judicial standpoint. And we see some of our locals, like I just said, engaged in the national conversation, be it in Congress, be it in Arona, be it Judge McConnell. But unless you are devoid of empathy, you have to look at this moment and say, if nothing else, even if you think that Doge and the entire operation that's unfolding before our eyes in real time is a dandy, it's the greatest thing ever, don't you feel this massive disconnect, this massive shift in energy? I mean, look, I don't want to become a pseudo-spiritual guru here. But when I've been thinking about hyper-localizing, and when I've been thinking about taking a moment and saying, okay, down in Washington, in a variety of different spaces, where these masters of war on brown people around the world. I mean, take a look at this Gaza situation, one of the most disgraceful things that we have seen in modern time, as Trump now wants to permanently displace Palestinians and build a resort there. I mean, you want to talk about empire building, as I've been saying on the radio a lot. I mean, the one good thing about this cohort, the Trump, the Musk, the Vance, the probably soon to be Kennedy, Gabbard, Hegseth, all these clowns. The one good thing about them is that, hey, unlike George W. Bush, who told you we were going into Iraq to liberate, or even Obama and others, at least these guys, they're telling you what it is. I mean, not necessarily in plain English, but they're telling you, hey, this is empire building. This is wealth consolidation. This is by design disrupting the world order in a way that we're going to do it with language, the Gulf of America nonsense, and, the removal of pronouns and this kind of business. We're going to do it with fear, the ICE raids, the opening of Guantanamo Bay, the threat to the reduction or elimination of certain social services, people who are terrified about their health care going forward. We're going to do it with muzzling and silencing media that we disagree with. Take a look at what happened with the AP this week. They refused to cave to this Gulf of America nonsense, and they refer to it as the Gulf of Mexico, which is what it is. And you've got Leavitt, the press secretary, yesterday saying, no, it is a fact that body of water is the Gulf of America. They're using all of these techniques to flush things down Orwell's memory hole. They're gaslighting you, just like they did the whole time in this campaign. Trump 2.0 so different than Trump 1.0. While yes, they played into many of the same concepts, nativism, we got to get back to a time that was, everything was so much better. And the only way we're going to do that is if we come in, because these other people, they destroyed your lives. So they're deploying these concepts. They're using them in real time. And it's effective in an energetic disruption. Meanwhile, there's so much happening at once that you can't even sit back and catch your breath for a second to assess what is unfolding. And who knows how quickly, how rapidly. Just take a look at the enormous wealth increases for Musk, Bezos, and Zuckerberg since Trump was inaugurated. We're talking massive amounts of money, billions upon billions of dollars, even more wealthy. While the middle class, or whatever you want to call it, the average everyday person, I don't care what your salary is or how strong your business is, you are not benefiting from any of this. And they're trying to tell you that this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to you. And they're trying to do it with a charade-like environment. The Musk presence here a caricature that feels very much like it's surreal, except for it's not. This is the cohort in power. And while, no, you can't sit back and say, the federal government's perfect. I'm sure there are all kinds of redundancies in employment and in payouts. I'm sure that there are all kinds of things that we could start to look at building a more efficient operation with. I mean, take a look at the military budget, the trillions there. But yet these are the same people that are talking about colonizing Mars. Not providing health care to you. Not figuring out a pathway towards home ownership. Not improving transit. Not lowering food prices. Eggs even more expensive. Inflation increasing unexpectedly. We may be headed towards a 1929 situation where you've got runaway inflation, you've got tariffs, you've got political chaos and uncertainty, you've got world tumult. We don't even know where we're heading in that regard. So now we get to the moment where we live in the moment. That's maybe all we can do. One thing to do is to turn your phone off or discard your cell phone. Unplug from the internet. Start a garden. Go live somewhere off the grid. Sure. And in many ways, I think when we talk about localizing, there's some information in that thought. There's some important ideas there that have to do with self-preservation. But not only self-preservation, self-advancement. I think when we talk about localizing the moment, and instead of feeling so helpless, so powerless that, hey, we're here in Rhode Island, we're here in southern New England, and we don't really have any control over these things that are taking place, that seems so opposite of the direction that on a community-wide basis, and yeah, you've got people in this state that are going to scream and yell and go on social media or go on WPRO or go anywhere else and tell you, oh, this is so wonderful and this is what we voted for, and Rhode Island saw this huge increase in Trump supporters, and this is actually what the state is trending towards, and the more people see this and hear it and feel it, the more and more and more it's going to become clear that Democrats ruined your life, and we got to go all in on Musk and Trump and Hegseth. But by and large, our community, when you look around, you really feel that? You really feel like this is what we voted for? You really think Rhode Island likes this? Come on. But looking at your own body, looking at your own soul, I think that's where you start. We need to be resolute and emotionally strong right now to face this moment on an individual basis. Hyperlocal means you. It means anything you can do right now from a self-improvement standpoint, you should do it. It's a moment of crisis. Now, what does that mean? It could mean a lot of different things. It may mean assessing some of the choices that you make on a personal level with your behaviors or health. It may mean entering into mental health practices. That could be therapies, that could be yoga, that could be meditation. You may have a religious or spiritual pathway that guides you. You may be drawn to nature. You may be drawn to community. You may be drawn to your family in a way that you haven't been. But ultimately, the strength within you has never been more important. All of us. That's localizing the moment. It's not about what Dan McKee or Brett Smiley or, your local town councilor is going to do. It has to start on the individual level. And I don't mean on the individual level in the sense of So we'll send 1 billion emails to, Gabe Amo and tell him to, do everything he can to block, I don't know, whatever. U.S. Today's got a big moment with USAID. That's important. That's action. But I think that has to come after something that I've really been thinking about for the last 6 months. I've thought about it my whole life in fits and starts and in different ways and with different levels of intensity and with different levels of belief. But right now, we're in a moment where we need to raise the consciousness of the world. It's an existential crisis here, folks. You're not going to hear that on CNN. You're not going to hear that on MSNBC. You're probably not going to read that in the New York Times unless you get to the well section and you find something off the grid a little bit. It's hard to do this given the pressures of the world, right? Work, housing. I mean, we go to work. I mean, I don't know about you, but boy, I mean, I'm working my ass off. I mean, it's not, I'm not seeing any huge gains here in terms of like, great, now I can, move on to the next level of life and have more peace and stability. And that doesn't seem happening. Or seem to be happening. You've got literally inflation and cost increases. So it's taxing. We have an unhealthy environment in many ways where it's not just the foods we eat and things like that. I mean, those are personal choices anybody can do. I mean, if you want to drink, drink. If you want to smoke, smoke. You want to eat McDonald's, eat McDonald's. Who cares? That's you to make that decision. I think there's guidance out there scientifically that shows you what the best pathway forward is for the most consistent body of results that are positive. But we are not talking enough about self-love and self-care in the face of this moment. And if we are, it's in a monetized way. You're scrolling through Instagram and you get some, maybe it's the peaceful music comes around, download this app, and, we'll give you a bunch of quotes from some Buddhist text and you feel like, great, I've spent a minute, now I'm healed. I mean, that's kind of what we're encountering.
Bartholomew Town.
Birds are disappearing from our landscape at a rapid pace. Over 1/3 of those breeding on Audubon Society of Rhode Island's wildlife refuges are in decline. Climate change has taken a toll on their migration, nesting, and food sources. While science is highlighting the problem, Audubon is working on real solutions with a plan to rapidly reduce their carbon emissions. The organization will be free of fossil fuels by 2030, with renewable energy powering Audubon's buildings, equipment, and vehicles. To shape our future, all of us must act. Learn more about repowering Audubon, their avian research, and how you can join their fight for climate resiliency. Visit asri.org/repower. Newport Film screens the latest, critically acclaimed documentary films year-round across Rhode Island. Like a film festival, Newport Film often gets early access to films before they're available online or in the theaters. Stay up to date on their latest screening events at newportfilm.com or on Instagram @NewportFilm. Are you looking to advance in your career or explore a new field? The University of Rhode Island now offers a comprehensive portfolio of fully online programs designed to bring world-class education to you anytime, anywhere. Choose from a wide range of flexible, asynchronous programs in business and leadership, data, tech, and STEM, healthcare and pharmacy, marine and environmental science, and more. With expert faculty and innovative courses, you'll gain the skills and knowledge to thrive in today's competitive world. Are you ready to take the next step? Visit uri.edu/online and discover how URI Online can help you achieve your goals. URI Online, learn anywhere with us. Half Street Group brings a new generation's perspective to leadership communication, strategic public relations, and digital marketing. Half Street helps organizations and leaders take control of their own stories and manage their reputations. They get results for their clients by focusing on audience, message, and culture, and by leveraging their decade-long relationship with media and opinion leaders in the Ocean State and throughout New England. Join me and Half Street Group founder and president Mike Rea for a conversation every month about news of the day, the hot hottest media analysis and a look behind the scenes at how impactful leaders drive conversations. Learn more at halfstreetgroup.com. As Rhode Island's first ever member-owned credit union, Navigant Credit Union has been a staple in the local business community for more than 108 years. Today, Navigant is a $3.4 billion institution serving more than 136,000 members across 25 physical branch locations. But since its founding in 1915, the mission has never changed. Navigant Credit Union's team of financial professionals have remained committed to improving the financial well-being of the families, businesses, and communities they serve across Rhode Island. Learn more at navigantcu.org.
But we got to go higher, man. We really do. Because we need to use a word that seems contradictory to peace, but we need an army of people who are strong and ready to help those who need to be assisted. And if you need help, you can always reach out to me, Bill at ripodcast.com. I don't know what I can do for you, but maybe having conversation is helpful. I know some of the conversations that I've had with people on background, which is like such a journalistic way to put it. It's not on background, just like in real life. How about that? Try that. See, even I'm trapped in this, mode of officialdom. They're kind of healing. And it's okay to be traumatized here. It's okay to cry, by the way. It's okay to feel scared. They call me beta Bieber. They make fun of the fact that I dyed my hair blonde a couple of months ago, that I'm meek, I'm this, I'm that. So what? You want to go on Twitter and make fun of people's appearance? I'm used to that. They made fun of my pink overalls. Who cares? Yeah, a bunch of jokers. And you know what? They're not healed. They're not healed, and you can be. We can be. And when I say we, this isn't a Democrat-Republican thing, because this is going to come back. This moment right here, it's a pivot point in history. It's not going to matter anymore if you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Progressive, Socialist, Anarcho-Syndicalist, Agnostic, whatever. We're going to be laughing at those labels at some point. Like, oh, can you believe it that that we argued over culture war nonsense to the extent that we did, or some perfunctory aspect of a budget to the extent that we did? We basically broke ourselves over this stuff, all the while the real masters of war are engaged in a class war that is unprecedented, or at least goes back. I mean, you can study things like, I don't know, French Revolution, medieval times, ancient times, and you see what we're in. You see what it is. You see what is happening is a repeat of so many things, but it's also unique. The moment right now is very special, and I don't mean that in a good way, like, oh, it's so wonderful. No, it's a special moment. For a long time now, it has been completely obvious that the main front line in our national, global, political conversation is not left versus right, but it's us versus them. Us, the general population, with a variety of different backgrounds, beliefs, wants, needs, desires, expectations, that can coexist in different ways. Maybe it's in a tribal sense. Maybe it's in a geographic division sense. But fundamentally, on a baseline level of principles, can coexist. Them, a very narrow 2, 5, 10, 20,000, 100,000 maybe people who have consolidated wealth and power. And the design here, the play is clear. Hey, deport as many people as you can. Get them the hell out of here. Put them in Guantanamo Bay. Send them to their country of origin, whatever. Just get them the hell out of the U.S. right now, because this is the starting line. Squash the middle class, cause economic disruption and panic. Don't do anything about the fact that people can't afford health care. Don't do anything about the fact that people can't afford to eat. Don't do anything about the fact that people can't afford to buy a house or even pay rent in a house in most places. Don't do anything about the fact that we haven't made the significant investment in public education that other countries around the world have made. Don't do anything about the fact that our transit sucks. And on it goes. Don't do anything about the fact that we're, at least in part contributing to greenhouse gas emissions and destroying the planet. Who cares? We're going to be on Mars anyway. We're going to have exoplanetary exploration and habitation if we keep following Musk. So, and by the way, who's going to go there? You think it's going to be you and me if the Earth burns up? Or our next of kin, or not next of kin, our kin down the line? Hell no. They've narrowed it so that as the middle class collapses, you're going to be the one. They've said, hey, undocumented folks, see you later. See ya later. We're going to get rid of you. And now you who are desperate for a job because you're starving, you go clean. You go pick. You go do the labor work for us. You go handle my stuff, you peasant. These guys hate the population. It's odd that they spend so much time talking about, oh, this person and that person hate America. They hate America. And they're disgusted by so much of what is beautiful. And it just shows in their actions. So when we talk about localization of the moment, we need to continue the work on an organizing level that's happening. We need to find strategies to protect the most vulnerable. We need to find platforms and pathways to shine a light on those things that are squashing so much opportunity and are so unjust. We need to hold the powerful accountable through the media, and the media needs to be truly independent. I'm not saying that they got to get rid of their corporate owners. I'm not saying everybody should only pay attention to indie media. That's also a ridiculous idea. We need corporate media. Why? Because they have money and they have resources. Steve Alquist is amazing. Steve Alquist can't do the type of investigative work that a WPRI or a Boston Globe or a Providence Journal can. Face it. Everybody needs to work in tandem. And our community, on a municipal level, Providence, Newport, Woonsocket, Westerly, Narragansett, all the other towns and cities and regions, and specifically the state of Rhode Island and the state regional partners, so to speak, Southeast Massachusetts, Southeast Connecticut, Eastern Connecticut in the Putnam area, the Uxbridge, Blackstone, Massachusetts area, our hyper region. We can function in a way that is extremely special and unique in this moment because of our size, because of our shared beliefs and value sets. We can be leaders, but we need from the governor, from the attorney general, from you, and from me to be as strong as possible in ourselves. And to me, that's what localizing this moment is. I was talking with somebody last night, and they were trying to remember, how far back can they go? Can they remember the beginning of the earth? And what a fascinating thought. Is there a beginning? We know the Big Bang is the scientifically accepted starting point. Of course, it poses the question of what came before that. But what if it wasn't? What if it's just always been here? What if we can't, our brains may not possibly be able to understand anything to do with formation of life and formation of our home? Right? And we can philosophize, we can use science, we can use guidance from signs and symbolism to try to piece it together. But we really don't know. There's a lot we don't know. We need to take some of that energy that we use to pursue those types of questions to try to understand ourselves on an individual basis as much as possible. Because that's the lane that's going to help strengthen us. How can you be the best version of yourself and for the people you love and for your community? And then, in a collective sense, for the future of the world. What do you think about that? Am I crazy? It's okay if you say I'm crazy. It's okay if you think, man, that's all well and good, but we need to draft policies and legislation to bolster against a reduction in rights. And that's more important than self-healing. And you're entitled to that, and I'm happy to have that discussion anytime. The world's gone mad. We've been trending this way for a long time. We can't flirt with more madness. It's too dangerous. And we've got to take care of each other. It's the only way. Lots coming up on the show. General Assembly's got a hearing on the an oversight hearing on the bridge today. I don't know, man. So sick of the Washington Bridge situation and the story. It's just, I don't know, man. Toothless hearings. And then the Alviti on the radio, and as a matter of fact, our engineers said that we are doing everything exactly right. Everything's perfect. So, I mean, just... I've had enough, man. But we're still doing the work. I published that video a week and a half ago. DOT went nuts. DOT went nuts. Now they're changing their communication strategy, trying to tell everybody, here's exactly what, it's going to look scary, it's going to look bad, but this is exactly what's supposed to happen because somebody on social media published a video that made us look bad, but we weren't bad. We were behaving perfectly. We're good little DOT. We're doing a good job. We're great. We're great at what we do, and we've done nothing wrong. You want to take a look at what they've done wrong? Go down to the rest stop. I was coming back from New York the other day. They got one rest stop here. It's a dump off over in Hopkinton Richmond line. You pull off that. You go into the joint. More than 50%. In fact, I think probably 80%, it seemed, of the urinals in the men's room taped off with caution tape because they were broken. That's DOT. They got their big DOT sign out there. Rhode Island Department of Transportation. Yeah. Peter Alviti, the Peter Alviti rest area. All the urinals broken. How symbolic is that? You're welcome to Rhode Island, where you got a vending machine and a bunch of broken urinals out in the woods. But they're perfect. Everybody give Peter Alviti a pat on the back because they've done such a great job with the Washington Bridge. And now he's going to go sit there in the General Assembly today. You know, and look, there's been some issues made of, well, he's not under oath. I mean, they're never under oath there. I mean, this is not, a court proceeding. It's just performance. The General Assembly can get to say, well, we did our part. We asked the tough questions. Alviti gets to go in there and, he puts on the suit. All right, you can picture him in the bathroom before he goes in. Is my hair good? That big white head of hair, does it look good? Everything look good? All right, my tie, tighten up his tie a little bit. All right, we're good? All right, here we go. Breathe, Peter, breathe. You're good. You're a good boy. You're a good boy. Then he goes in, and the whole thing is just a joke. Just build the new bridge. Don't kill anybody in the process, and let's move on. It's a failure of government, period. Enough. Tell us when you figured out what happened. Until then, we don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Tell us when you're going to get the money, and tell us when you're going to tell us who actually contributed to this debacle and how we're not going to have it happen again. It's ridiculous. And yet we stay on it. I get documentation, I review it. I don't often publish it. When I do publish it, I feel very confident that it's telling a story. And you can decide for yourself what that story is. I'm not a bridge expert. I'm not an engineer. I can't sit here and tell you, well, according to the DOT's plans, at Joint 17, they should have used adhesive number 75,000 plus cash. Instead, they didn't. They cheaped out. I don't know. It stinks. Yeah, this major bridge, they did a terrible job with it. Now look what's happening. There's your story. All right? So that's happening. But we got the speaker scheduled for next week. We're also going to speak with the new housing secretary, Deborah Goddard. We're going to talk about Echo Village, finally open. To me, if I was them, I wouldn't have done any opening ceremony. The fact that you finally, after all the bureaucratic and other factors too, let's be honest, there are environmental factors, there are other factors as well. But you finally get that thing open in the middle of February. When you've had unhoused people die this year already on the streets. I don't know. I wouldn't have done any ceremony. I would have just said, hey, press release, the thing's open, people are there. Some people are going to be able to have their dignity protected. Instead, they've got the extraordinary rendition band down there. They're giving speeches and, I don't know. It wasn't it's not what I would have done, but hey, I'm not a PR expert. I'm not the governor. I'm not the mayor. But we'll speak with the housing secretary also next week. We're also going to speak with Attorney General Nerona. We got the AG scheduled. We've got the governor working on that one as well. A lot going on with the interviews. And of course, going back to our topic today, I don't see a reason to bring on, and I experimented with this in the past, last year especially. I have access to a lot of great national reporters from ABC News, from WCBS, now other kind of New York national radio stations. The Hill, we brought on a lot of reporters from there. I got a lot of good pipelines there. News Nation, so on and so forth. I can bring reporters on and we can talk about, all right, give us the latest on what happened today with the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. confirmation hearing. What happened in Washington? We could do that, but you can get that anywhere. So do you need Bill Bartholomew and somebody from News Nation going over that on a Rhode Island podcast? I don't think so. My gut. Maybe you think differently. Let me know. And of course, if there's something major, we'll bring it to you. I'm not saying I'm going to dismiss that. But for me, looking at the world right now on a political level, on a story level, on a news level, the hyper-localization of the situation in the world is what we're going to be focusing on here. And we will continue to do that as much as we need to, as much as we can. And I invite you to contribute feedback or input in any way, shape, or form. If you're listening right now on most of the platforms, you can actually send us a message right on Spotify or Buzzsprout. I think on Apple as well. I have to check that. If not, send me an email, bill@ripodcast.com. We're on social media at Bartholomew Town on TikTok and Instagram. You can find me, at Bill Bartholomew on Blue Sky. And yes, I'm still on X. I don't know why I'm doing it to myself. It makes me so sad to open it up. I feel terrible when I open up X. But I do believe that there's a value to being in the space of that has been commandeered and dominated by much of that which we are speaking out against. And so for that reason, I'm still there. But social media, it may be time to tone down or wind down the amount of time that we all spend on social media, but certainly I'm starting to think that way as part of the process of just, hey, let's go inward. And if last thing I'll say about this, if you're looking for any guidance, again, I'm not Mr. Meditation, I'm not Mr. Guru. Okay, I don't have any beaded necklaces or bracelets, but I do have techniques and tools and things that I've learned over the years that have helped me a lot and that I continue to use every single day. And I'm now ramping up. And if you want to talk about it, if you're interested, or if you have something you want to share with me, I'm looking for more tools and techniques. I'm looking for more spaces to share with like-minded people that have this goal and have this interest. And if you are able to provide that to me, I would really appreciate it as well. All right, everybody. Thank you. If you're sad right now, I'm with you. If you're scared right now, I'm with you. If you're angry right now, I'm with you. Let those emotions be real. Let them live. You can't suppress them. You may think you're suppressing them, but they will pop out in places and they'll be directed in the wrong way. We all deserve peace. And that's the politics of the hyper-local level. It's in your heart. See you next time. Hey, thanks for stopping by Bartholomew Town. For more content, follow me on Instagram @BillBartholomew.